Welcome back to another cottage reading and writing vlog. I have been gone again, yes. These are the stars from the cottage, by the way, and let me just talk quickly about what happened. So I brought all these books on art and art craft and Riviera, and I read most of them actually. That's one thing, that's one consolation. But I don't know, I had to scrap most of this vlog. I think I hit like a big depression in the last 2 months of summer. I actually hate summer, so this is not surprising to me. But I did read some great books that I will talk about eventually. I read Second Place by Rachel Cusk. It was my first Cusk. It was amazing. As you can see, this is the garden that we have. So I've been spending some time outdoors, trying to get some vitamins and, you know, happy hormones and whatnot and all that good shit. I've been reading, like I said. I watched also X for the first time. I love horror movies, so I really am trying to watch the X Pearl Maxine saga. I've been taking some walks as well, slowly but surely. It's really hard to take a walk on these roads, but that's okay. I was reading J'accuse, which is by Graham Greene, about the French Riviera's corruption. So that's me just reading here and showing you. I use this Forest app still. I actually been going back to using the Forest app nowadays because I'm trying to stay off social media. I'm trying to stay off distractions. So that's what I've been doing in the last month or so. I've read a lot. I have made progress on my Riviera book. But it's not the progress I thought I would make. I thought I would be done writing it, and instead I just realized how more complex and research it requires. Like, I spent days of like reading articles and looking things up online for hours and hours and hours. So it seems to me that for every chapter I want to read for the Riviera, it's gonna require like 10 hours of research. So instead of like hating myself and trying to get it done in a month or in a week and whatever you know, deadline that's like literally quite possibly impossible, I'm just gonna take my time and, you know, I'm gonna dedicate the next like year or so to write it when I feel like it, with more focused time when the weather is nice, because I just don't feel like writing it when it comes to the fall. So I'm gonna take a break. But I am going to continue doing the research. I am going to continue thinking about the novel. Once you can sit for a while with a novel, it becomes easier to think about it and immerse yourself into it, versus like when you first start or when you first don't have a outline or whatnot. Like, I am kind of like a pantser, but I also like to outline a little bit. But I feel more ready to write it than I did in the last 2-3 years. The last 2-3 years was just like learning about the Riviera, learning about art basically, and now we're at this point. So yeah, I'm just taking notes, I'm writing things down. I've been starting the practice of keeping a commonplace book, and I'm gonna try to film a video on it eventually. The thing is, I keep burning myself out because I want to film a million videos and I never do. But next clip, I'm going to show you me writing on my free write device. It's linked down below. So I also have The Art of the Heist by Miles J. Connor. This is the guy that was like kind of like accused for the Isabella Museum, Gardner Museum heist, but then they realized that it wasn't him, although like he's known about it and known about like their poor security, and he talks about that heist, but not as much as he talks about all the other heists and all the other troubles, little troubles that he went through growing up, because he's a thief at heart. And it just was a fascinating book to read, and I read most of it at the cottage, so I will talk about it on the next clip. I read this for an hour. It's The Art of the Heist by Miles J. Connor. It's about his upbringing in like the crime world, the art crime world, and other crimes, right? Petty crimes and not so petty crimes. The thing about this is that I read 100 pages. At this rate, I'll be able to finish it in like 2 days from now. Like, I'll just read an hour a day. He's so charming. I don't know if he got a ghostwriter to write this, but even if he did, from what I know, I think that the ghostwriter, or either whoever he hired, does such a good job at capturing his voice and the way he talks. It's just like, it's so like these are the things that I did, but my luck ran out. These are the things that I did, but you know what? Actually, I'm about to get lucky. Like, it's just so funny. He's just a fascinating character, but he's not a character. He's a person, and I feel like this is a good study in voice in some ways, which it's totally not why I'm reading this. I'm reading this to like learn more about him and about like art crimes. It's kind of funny reading this while reading J'accuse today, because we ignore how sometimes the people in power, such as like cops and FBI and police and the justice system, we ignore how sometimes they're all like colluding for the bad guys, and that sometimes they are the bad guys. So this is just a reminder of that. And yeah, it's just fascinating. His story is fascinating. It's just really fun to read this, honestly, at this point. I think I'm going to go read some more articles just so that I can get an idea of what I want my characters to do. I'm currently charging my FreeWrite typewriter, the smart typewriter. So I think by now, it's been a few hours, I think it should be charged to full. But I've been writing between like Scrivener on my computer and the typewriter, just depending. And since I don't have Wi-Fi, I'll have to like manually send my files over every day just to make sure that I have them on the computer as well. But I think we're at probably like, actually combining the two, we're probably at like 600 words. We're not doing so well today, but the day is still kind of young. As always, I'm still journaling every morning. I'm doing my morning pages. I only do like one, but like one full scale page. Honestly, I think that's the only thing that's helped me in the last year, to just be positive, start my day with positive and positive intentions, and remind myself like I'm that bitch that can do things. So yeah, I don't know, guys. It's been hard. I'm almost at day 400 when it comes to the morning pages. So I definitely want to make another video on that as well. You see my problem? I want to do too many things, and then I end up doing nothing, and I end up being burnt out, and I end up hating myself, and I end up being depressed, and it's just a continuous cycle. So that's why I kind of took a break again from YouTube. I just had to deal with my personal struggle, and also like keep my routines when it comes to writing, journaling, and reading. That's something that I've been wanting to get back. You know, the last 2 years have been about recovery, and now this is about creativity, and also like making sure I don't burn myself out or, you know, get into a spiral, which I typically do. So that's where I'm at, and I'm not going to promise anything anymore. I'm not going to say anything anymore. I'm just going to film when I want to film, post when I want to post, write when I want to write, read when I want to read. And I think this is the best approach, because I end up doing more this way when I'm just in the moment versus stressing about the future and all the million things that I want to do. So that's where my life is at. So I'm gonna stop with the recording and you're gonna watch the rest of the vlog. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for, sending me DMs and stuff and checking up on me. I really appreciate the community that I have here, and I will never take it for granted. And thank you for seeing me in all of my glory and not so glory. Yeah. Thank you. So I finished reading the bulk of The Writer's Journey, which is basically a take on Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces. And it's basically the blueprint, more or less, to movies and possibly books on the journey of the hero, right? So it's like going through the different steps. I think there's about 19 or 18 stages. So the first half and 3/4 of this book is about those stages. So you have like the ordeal, the rewards, the road back, resurrection. Yeah. So here there's 12 stages. So he goes through all these stages and he explains it through examples of movies. So common movies that we've seen in the last 50 years, Indiana Jones, The Lord of the Rings, The Wizard of Oz, mafia movies, Western movies, all kinds of movies. If you're a movie person and a movie buff, definitely you need to read this because it's really fascinating and interesting. There's a list at the end of a filmography of like all the movies that he has mentioned. And yeah, so it makes it easier to digest because not many people have read as many books as they have seen many movies. But a lot of these movies are very like formulaic, and it's not to say that you have to write like this. You can actually definitely subvert conventions and put your own twist. You can even like start at a different stage in your book or whatever you're writing. So this is really fascinating. I really love this. I've underlined so many notes. I'm gonna have to compile everything in a file. It's gonna take me like hours, but that's okay because I really want to go back and restudy everything that I read. The part here now he's like putting everything in context, and he's using the Titanic to do so. So it's been very fascinating. I love the Titanic. The Titanic was released in 1997 by James Cameron, director. It's just one of the movies that like changed the game in cinema in some ways. And so like right now he's talking about the symbolism of the Titanic, and I just really like this passage because everything is about like a kind of odyssey, a kind of reflection to society. The whole point is writing in a way that is fulfilling a journey of some kind. So here he's talking about symbolism of the Titanic. He says, "The idea of the ship of fools is summed up in the old phrase, 'we're all in the same boat.' It shows that despite our foolish attention to superficial differences of birth, wealth, and status, we are all trapped by the absolutes of life, all alike in being subject to inevitable forces like gravity, fate, death, and taxes. A ship isolated at sea on a long journey becomes a convenient symbol of the human condition, of the soul's lonely passage through life. The isolation of the Titanic in the North Atlantic makes her a little world, a microcosm, a nearly perfect model of the society of her time, in which the 2,000 people on board represent all the millions alive at the time. Like the ship itself, the scale of the story is epic, larger than life, big enough to tell the story of a whole culture, in this case of the whole Western world at the time. This vast story is made comprehensible and digestible by selecting the lives and deaths of a few who represent qualities and polarities present to some degree in all members of the culture. Honestly, I feel like if you're a writer, you definitely need to read this. It's like nothing groundbreaking, but it's the way that he breaks it down that can help you become a better writer. If you can look at film and books and shows and try to put them in a stage or try to understand how the progression goes, like the narrative progression, it really helps you understand stories. It really helps you understand the need and the purpose of a story. And this is what I really enjoy about this book. Too bad it's taken me 2 years to read it, because I don't know why it's taking me that much time. But another cool fact about this book is that he also goes through like archetypes. So you have the herald, you have the shifter, you have the antagonist, etc. Honestly, this is just such a comprehensive book, and I highly recommend it. If you love craft, if you love writing, if you love films, this is the book for you. And I really can't wait to read Joseph Campbell's book, because this is the one that inspired this book. Joseph Campbell was very famous for talking about myths, both Eastern and Western myths, and how we relate them to our stories and how we incorporate them in our journeys, personal and also like fictional. And yeah, I'm back in my like writer's era, writing era, crafting era, understanding structure era. I'm gonna stop saying era, it's so obnoxious. But yeah, definitely love this. Definitely want to keep reading. I think I could read about 100 pages today and then finish the rest tomorrow. So that's the goal. And then I have to go back and read my novel. You know, you can read about craft all you want, but you're still gonna find yourself in a fucking hole when it comes to editing your novel, because what the fuck. But that's the beauty. That's the beauty, and that's the work, and that's the fun, but also torture of writing.